What's up, everyone? Welcome to Dogs Down South. It's on a Wednesday night. Man, I decided no Lindsey Scott tonight. No Lindsey Scott because we are 77 days away from college football returning. And I just wanted the fight song to be right in your face tonight to represent the 77 days. So welcome, everyone, to Dogs Down South. As always, got Fish with us tonight. Bobby Ryals. What's up, guys? How are you?
Doing good, man.
How's it going, man?
Doing good, man. Just want to let that finish a little bit. Man, it's so exciting to talk about college football. Love hanging out with you guys. We're live. We're live on YouTube tonight. We're live on Facebook. Next week, maybe the week after that. Also, Instagram Live will be added. I heard Instagram's pretty kind of popular, so I figured we would just go live on there too. We have the access to do it. Why not do it? So next week and the week after that, we'll also be linking up with Instagram. But we'd love if you haven't done so, go to YouTube, Dogs Down South, hit that follow and that like button, and help us get to 1,000 followers on YouTube. That would be amazing. Guys, 77 days. What do you think? How excited are you? Do you have a countdown going?
Yeah. Now 77 days. Like, I'm saying that, well, 77 seems like a big number, but when you break that down, it's just a couple of months away, right? Like 2.5 months away. And that's exciting. I'm ready.
Just think, man, it was 177 days at one point. We're 100 days closer somewhere, man.
That's right.
Fish, how about 77 days, man? How excited are you, man, to see us in Mercedes-Benz against Clemson?
I'm pumped, man. Pumped. I'm a little blowed about the 12:30 kickoff. I think that's kind of lame, and I don't understand what the thinking is. I don't understand the process. I guess it's location. Some of those games are on the West Coast. I don't know.
Right.
But I mean, come on. That could have been us. That would have been a way bigger draw, I believe. But who knows why they do what they do.
Yeah, the realignment, man, with who's covering the games and things like that. It's just there's no competition anymore, right? So they can just throw it wherever.
Yeah.
You got two conferences essentially.
Yeah. I just thought maybe the 12:30 was because they didn't want anybody to wait on the best game of the week. It's like everybody's hungry for football. It's lunchtime, maybe the best time to eat right there. So who knows? I don't know, but at the end of the day, I do know that we don't have to deal with any Gary Danielson this year. So that the 12:30 game, 3:30 game, Gary Danielson, I'll take it. I'll take it all day of the week.
Fair swap.
God bless the guy. I mean, I just didn't like listening to him, and man, he loves Alabama football, and so now he can just love Alabama football.
Yeah. Feinbaum loves Alabama too, but he reeled it in. When they messed up, he called him on it. Gary Danielson still finds a way. They fumble, lose by 21. Alabama's still the best thing to ever walk the face of the earth.
I think wholeheartedly, man. I think they're brothers, man. I think Saban and Feinbaum. Don't you see it? You put some hair on Feinbaum. Can you pass as Saban's brother?
Yeah. I think so too.
That might be it, dude. Might be onto something.
Yeah. I have to look into that.
Let's hop right in, man. Georgia. So here's the thing, man. Seen a lot about Dabo Swinney, and everybody's asking, so why isn't Dabo in the portal, and why is this important to Georgia football? Well, I've also heard a lot lately about, is Kirby really, is he really happy with his team right now? I know Dabo mentioned he likes his starters right now. He likes his team. He likes his culture. So what does that say about some of these coaches who are not very active in the portal? And I know he spoke about it before he came on, but does this mean that Kirby's happy? Does it mean that, I don't know, we're pulling the Brian Kelly, we're not throwing $1 million out at these players anymore, we're not throwing money at these players? And I get that from Brian Kelly. I don't know if I would say that live on air, but I think that. I think the same thing all the time. I'm like, why are we throwing all this money at players? We shouldn't be I think that. I don't know if Brian Kelly should have maybe said that. So in all that saying, I want to know you guys, I want to start off with this tonight. And I'll go to you first, Fish. Like, what do you think? You think Kirby's happy with his team? And what does this say for college football when some of these coaches are really coming out there and going, look, I like what I have. I like where we're at too deep in some positions. And I really don't think right now I want to I'd like to bring some of these younger guys up instead of go out there and buy an older guy who's going to be here for a year, possibly be a bust, possibly be a nuisance in the locker room, and then I'm going to spend money on him and ship him out. And now I'm still left with these guys that may be undeveloped. What do you think about the decision for him and Dabo to really not take part in the portal this spring?
I don't know. I think the proof is kind of in the pudding for Dabo and Clemson because not a lot of portal activity ever. They've kind of been trending down. You know, I think you have to change a little bit. You have to be willing to change because college football is ever evolving now. It's never not changing. I mean, and Dabo is old school. You got to appreciate that. But at the end of the day, you know, Kirby knows. Kirby's old school. Kirby is a Saban disciple. But he's also willing to change with the game, you know, to evolve and stay good, stay at the top, stay where we need to be. Because honestly, even if we do lose that game, what's the long-term success for Clemson going to be? You know, like I don't know. He said he likes his starters. That means he's up, you know, the bench. You know, his reserves aren't that great. You know, didn't allude or say anything about that. I don't know. I just think you got to be willing to change.
Yeah, Bobby, what do you think?
Yeah, man, I think one of the issues with not going to the portal is you really limit the talent of your depth. You're having to recruit that every single year, which gets competitive, and then those guys can leave, and then you got to replace them, right? So you got retention. Dabo is kind of being hard-headed. I think he's kind of like, hey, I've built this culture here, right? Because Clemson, before Dabo popped in there, Clemson had slid way off, right? Mm-hmm. They weren't really that relevant, and I think he's taken a lot of pride in that. But I also think that sometimes that pride can get you in trouble. If you get in a situation, I mean, look at last year, right? Like he didn't go get anybody out of the portal, right? And there were some key position players that got hurt. And they lost, you know, several games last year where if they had gone to the portal and gotten substantial help or credible help, it's probably a better word, they probably end up in a better position. You know, I get it, man. You want to create a culture, and that's probably his pitch to the recruits' families. Hey, you know, we don't go to the portal, right? Your kid comes here to play. They're here for good, you know, and we're not going to bring somebody in out of the portal to replace them. But also, like on the other side of that, you got to win.
Yeah,
it's ultimately. Mark Richt was a heck of a coach, but you know, and he'd win 10 games a year, but that doesn't get you a natty, right? And so at some point, you know, it's not the parents he's answering to, it's the boosters. And so if he's not keeping them happy, he'll find his way out the door. So he really needs to rethink this, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, I think, but here's the same token. I will tell you that I don't really know what Dabo is going to be fielding as far as the team. Now I don't look at the ACC a lot. We really cover, you know, Georgia and the SEC, but when you look at the team, I don't really know what to expect. I know we'll be ready. I think we'll see enough as far as film from last year. We'll engage some key players, but you know, and we're going to do a little bit at the end. It's going to be kind of cool. We're going to meet every quarterback in the SEC and Clemson that Georgia will see this year. Will be a cool ending to the show tonight. But I think for me, what you have seen with Clemson is because we don't go in the portal, either two things are happening, and we'll see come August 31st. Either you also don't see a lot of players going in the portal from Clemson, but that might be because Clemson doesn't have the talent that it used to have. There's a lot of competition, you know, but some people are saying, well, 3 stars, 2 3 stars, and some 4 stars, they compete a lot harder because 5 stars are harder to get. So you see the 5 stars and the heavy hitter 4 stars floating around looking for. They're not going to sit behind other 5 stars. They know they have the talent. They need to put it on tape. And to some of us, the pageantry of college football, thank God for, we'll talk about it in a minute, but thank God for NCAA 25 coming back, because some pageantry coming back to college football from this portal. I just pray to God that I don't have to pay $1 million for a quarterback once I start the game, because I don't know, man, what you're going to have to pay for the game. That's highway robbery anyway. What was that, Fish?
I said it'll be virtual currency. You can afford it.
Or Bitcoin. I don't know, man.
Yeah, you better buy that Heisman edition, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Heisman edition.
Extra NIL money or something.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe that supports NIL. I have no idea.
Who knows? But they are, both portal windows are on the game.
Unreal, man. I can see it now. I'm spending half of my time negotiating a player to get him onto the field. Yeah, just wrapping up that question, it's tricky because Kirby, I think Kirby didn't go back in the portal because I do think he's holding his cards close to him, but I think he's very happy. I know I am. I'm very happy with how the secondary looked at G-Day. I'm happy with the defensive line. I'm happy with the depth that I see. I'm happy that Christian Miller decided to hang in there. I think that was a key piece in him coming back and deciding elsewhere. I think our linebackers are incredibly talented. I don't think we're going to have any problem with depth at the linebacker position this year. So I think he's just content. I think he's holding his cards. I think he's like, look, I don't need to draw. I have cards in my hand that work, so I don't need to go to the deck and draw. So moving on. So I thought it was a cool statistic when we were talking earlier in the week, guys, that Fish, you mentioned a statistic that Kirby has more first-round picks than losses in the last 7 seasons. Let's speak into that a little bit, Fish. I put down here in my notes, I said, losses sometimes are not based off of talent. So what's the explanation, and how did he get his Georgia teams into that category?
I don't know. I mean, just recruiting, whatever he's selling, people are buying. I mean, they want to play for a winner. We're at the top. We're the king of the mountain right now. Until somebody else knocks us off. We've lost 1 game in 2 seasons. Who else can say that? Nobody. I mean, people want to win, and we get winners. Kirby gets winners. He knows what a winner is. All that time under Nick Saban, and you got to give that man so much credit. Kirby learned so much from him. I know he did. And, I mean, he just, like I said, whatever he's selling, people are buying. He knows, we've had some monsters. That 21 defense, is, people talk about it as one of the best defenses ever. Maybe not the best, but definitely top 5, and that's crazy. I mean, he's killing it on that recruiting trail. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, some leaked commentary this past week, 2 weeks ago. Malachi Starks leaked some information about how Kirby handles portal kids that want to hop in the portal, and he kind of leaked it, but Malachi said that he looks at you and he says, "You want to go in the portal? That's totally fine. We will replace you. We will replace you and somebody else. And I wish you the best, but we will replace you." And it's not there is no one great player at Georgia. It is team based. It's team based at Georgia, and if you don't understand that, then you're not going to fit in the culture at Georgia. And I think that's part of his DNA and why that's what he's selling. I love what you said, Fish. What he's selling. He's selling team, and he's selling, hey, I don't have anything. I'm not holding anything right here. He's kind of giving the Brian Kelly spiel without sounding so, for lack of better words, stupid. He's not saying, I'm not paying $1 million for no quarterback. Well, yeah, you will. You're going to pay the money if you need it. But at the end of the day, what he's not going to do is he's not going to hold anybody from walking out that door because he's saying, look, this is a team effort. Bobby, what do you think about that? What do you think about makes Kirby – what do you think has gotten his teams to where it's at right now, and why he has, number one, such great talent going to the NFL, but also the teams to back it up? We're just not a one-hit wonder. It's not like, I don't know. Well, Washington might be that one-hit wonder. You saw a lot of picks come off the board this year for them, but will you hear a lot about Washington this year? Whereas Georgia, last 2 years, had a lot of picks go off the board, but you still heard about Georgia. Why is that, Bobby?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's mentality. You know, Kirby Smart is allergic to complacency. You know, if I had
I
to
like
sum it
that.
up,
That's
that's
nice.
exactly what I would say is Kirby is allergic to complacency and super fearful of getting it, right? And that shows out in recruiting. It shows out in development. It shows out in ambition and hunger. And all of those things are what drive Kirby Smart to be the coach that he is, right? And all of that, he comes up with processes, and so processes that help him avoid, and the players avoid, complacency. And so I really think that's why you see the level of success that Kirby Smart has had for the Georgia Bulldogs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. We talked about it earlier, man. NCAA 25, almost here, man. I got some predictions tomorrow night. I don't even know what time is it, Fish. What time is this reveal happening tomorrow for NCAA 25?
I'm not sure. I think it's at noon.
Gotcha. So if listeners are wondering, so NCAA 25 has been gone for a good long while. A lot of these guys that I sit here with right now, that was part of their childhood DNA, man. And gaming, I had one game, and it was that game. And I've struggled in 10 years to find another game that I can sit down and actually connect with and enjoy at that level. And for that to be coming back, I mean, I can tell you that I will put it this way, and if she's watching, my wife, if she says, well, hey, I'm going to go out to the mall, you want to do anything no, go shop. You get what you want, because I can have 2 quality hours on NCAA 25. So definitely, and I will take the hit on the credit card, and God bless you. So, but man, how excited are you guys about this?
Go with your friends to dinner, have a spend the
man.
night party, whatever you need to do.
Exactly, man.
Girls weekend? What? Girls weekend? Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I have some Portal stuff to do. I got Portal work to be done. But guys, right. I've heard leaked info of July 19th. If that's the case, I heard July 25th. I'd rather have the 19th, obviously. We talked a little bit about the additions. We kind of rambled around what we think it'll be. There'll be a $69.99 version where basically, you load the game in and you get what you get. And then you got the $159.99 version, which is the Heisman version, which Carson Beck will give you a free ride in his Lamborghini if you buy that version. It goes to NIL money, and you get a free Heisman Trophy replica for your house. None of that is true, by the way. We don't know what you get, but we talked about it. How excited are you guys about NCAA 25? I know we hit on it a couple of shows back, but it's getting real, man.
Yeah, it's not NCAA 25 anymore, is it? It's like college game day, college sports.
No, right now it's still NCAA. Yeah.
Is it? Okay, I wasn't sure. Hey, I'm super excited, man. It's been a long time since it's coming. I'd actually given away my copy of the last one that was on PlayStation, and I kind of regret that because I wanted to play it several times. I haven't had it, but super duper excited, man. I'm interested to see, we talk about how aggravating NIL and transfer portal. I was like, I wonder if we'll have a different opinion when we can go out there and pick up like a stellar player, right, to fill a slot that we need. Like, will we think differently? Playing the game like, ooh, thankful for this. Who knows? I'm excited to play, man. I'm excited to see what all happens. Excited to see. I think they're going to do the road to glory again. I think that's still in there. Interested to see how all that plays out. Now, I will tell you right now, I may take a vacation day, take a little PTO.
Dude, come on. We all should. If it's the 19th, bro, you can clock my vacation day on that day. Man, I'll be sitting here waiting on it to drop.
Yeah, I told
a lot of people are going to be sick that day.
Today, and he was like, "Oh, it's totally approved, bro, because I'm doing the same thing."
Yeah.
Fish, man, you've had a lot of inside action, man. Tell us what. I don't know, man. Fish, you've been texting us left and right, man. You are the NCAA 25 update, man. What are you hearing, man?
Yeah,
What's key things you're hearing?
I'm just excited, man. Me, all my friends, Grant. I mean, back in the day, this was what we did. Like, this was what we did. I'm talking about going back into the 90s. I'm talking about Bill Walsh college football before it was NCAA. Like, this is a huge part of my life. I am so excited that it's coming back. I was very, very sad that it went away, although I understand the reasoning behind it because everybody's got to get paid now. So, things are different than it used to be, and, instead of halfback number 25, you're going to have, Trevor Etienne, number 1, like it's going to be an actual person, except for unless you're Texas, then the backup quarterback's not going to be Arch Manning. It's going to be QB number 2 or, something like that because they didn't want to opt in because they're too good for the game or whatever. But anyway, like it's going to be something special. And
horns down.
I've been following Chris Fowler. Of course, him and Herbie are going to be doing the play-by-play for it, and he, updates every now and then about what all is going into it. And they've been working on this for 2 years. He has been recording voiceover for it for 2 years.
Nuts.
And some of the things that they're saying about it, man, like if you want to kick a 71-yard field goal on second down, that's in the game. If you recover a fumble on a 2-point conversion and run it back for a touchdown to win the game, that's in the game. Like, every possible conceivable situation you could possibly think of.
I gotta hit this since you just said that, Fish. You gotta give me this. EA Sports. It's in the game.
In the game. Bro,
it's in the game.
You got to stop, Fish, because I'm about to tackle my screen right now, bro. I'm getting so excited. I'm holding my hands like together, like, dude, I'm just to tackle the screen, bro. I'm so excited for this football game, man.
It's gotta be something else.
You heard him say, right? Like, if you do follow him, like after Fish sent that out, like I was like, okay, well, I'm not following Chris Fowler. Maybe I should.
Maybe I should be following Chris Fowler, right?
He's like, I'm finally getting my home studio back. For the past 2 years, it's been nothing but college football. Video game, and so I'm stoked about it.
Yeah, man.
And you know what? Here's one more little thing. They're going to do the big primetime games, but there are other announcers that are going to do like your 12 o'clock games and your 3:30 games and stuff like that. Like
Aaron Murray. You hate Aaron Murray.
Beth Mowens.
Not. Oh my God, Beth Mowens. Come on, man. They're probably
Aaron Murray, by the way, is doing the Clemson Georgia game. 12. I'm just kidding. I don't know. No,
you say Harry Carey?
Harry Carey.
I'd rather listen to him.
Holy Carey. Everybody.
Carson.
Harry. Hey. Remember when I don't even go there. What's my boy who did him on Saturday Night Live, man? Gosh, man. What's his name?
Oh, I can't remember his name.
He did the whole Harry Carey act, man. He's like, oh, geez,
I remember the skit, but I can't remember who the comedian was.
I can't either.
Gosh,
I wish I could.
I'm going to next week. I'm going to have it ready to go, man.
Yes,
I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to tell you what's going to be the icing on the cake, though, for me, is when I'm trying to keep Carson Beck from going into the NFL, and I get to keep him one more year, and it goes, sure, to keep Carson Beck, you can put X amount of money in, and you got to put your credit card information in and pay $20 to keep Carson Beck. Done. Bye. Go. I don't want you, bro. I'm not giving you my money. What are you kidding me, man? I ain't giving you $20. It's gonna happen, dude. I'm telling you.
Dude, that might happen. That could happen.
You're gonna be trying to find. You're gonna be literally cleaning out all your Cash App, bro, to try to keep Carson Beck from going to the NFL, dude. And then finally you get him, dude, and he's probably gonna that'll be his worst season ever.
He'll get hurt in game one.
Yeah, those like 18 interceptions, and you're like, I dropped $25 real dollars on this fool, man.
Yeah,
and this is how he performs. It's gonna be interesting, man.
You can throw 7 touchdowns a quarter, and apparently they'll have a situational dialogue for that.
That's crazy.
Like, it's nuts, dude. I mean, God bless America. It's gonna be nuts.
That's why the Heisman version is $1.50. All right.
I'm paying it, dude. I'm paying it. I don't care.
Heisman version?
I'm working overtime that week, bro, so I can afford it.
Bro,
I'm not lying.
Bobby's gonna be in church, man. It's like, guys, we're gonna have to up the offering this week because I'm trying to get the Heisman version.
Yeah.
What's that?
That's funny.
Put another 20 in the plate for the pass.
There you go.
Get the Heisman version.
I need Carson Beck to come back for his senior year.
Yeah.
Gotta buy him another Lamborghini.
I gotta have my poor money, man, to make sure when I get the game, I don't lose my players. This is hilarious, man. It's gonna be crazy. But anyways,
oh my god, I'm sorry. Yeah, let's move because I can talk.
It's gonna be good, man. It's gonna be so good, dude. I think we might have a night where we just literally go live and just play the game, dude. Just literally play the game.
I'm cool with that.
I don't know.
I'm cool with that.
We might lose some equipment, man. Some screens broke, things of that nature.
We all got good Wi-Fi. We can play each other.
It's true, man. It's true. Right here, live. So we could actually go live, and there's no lying about who got beat. So I'm down for that.
That's right. And it'll be saved forever.
Dogs down south bragging rights.
Yes, sir.
Everybody has to play with the same team, though. You got to play with Georgia Southern. You can't play. Yeah. You got to play with I maybe went too high on that one. Maybe
I'm going Kennesaw State or Georgia
State. McNeese State.
You need a bottom barrel team like Florida.
Yeah, I know, right? Exactly.
I had to take my shot.
Can you see it, man? Mid-season, Billy Napier loses his job live, on NCAA 25, the game.
He'll be off the game.
And Napier gets the call, and he's like, "Hey, man, you haven't been fired in real life, but apparently on NCAA 25, they got rid of you. They think you're that bad this year." Unreal.
Yeah.
Unreal, man. Let's look at Mailbag, man. Let's had some questions that are floating around the SEC right now on multiple podcasts and pages and multiple live shows out there I thought were interesting. And then we're gonna meet our quarterbacks tonight. But first Mailbag question came off of that SEC podcast. What do you boys think about this? Which SEC coach has the most to lose this year? Obviously, you have coaches that have hit the portal really hard. Portal King. We all know who that is. We have some coaches who are on the hot seat, maybe. We have some coaches that are coming into the SEC with Texas and Oklahoma. We have some coaches that are coming into the SEC with new coaching jobs. Who do you think has the most to lose this year? And then that might not be just job. It might be is this the direction that the program goes to, maybe this is it for X? Who do you think that coach is this year and why? Bobby, I'll go to you first.
So
who do you think has the most to lose this year?
With something that I think may not be something you initially think about. I'm going to say Steve Sarkisian, right?
Okay.
Texas is coming into the SEC, right? They've had a couple of solid years. Everything's a buzz about Texas. Texas is legit, right? If he comes in and bombs, what does that do? Right? You stir up that whole argument. Well, is he really that good of a coach? Right? They're being successful, or is it just the luck of the conference he was in?
Right.
And now he's into the big conference. So I really think, but on the flip side of that coin, he stands the most to lose, in my opinion, but he also stands to gain a whole lot if he comes in and does well, right? He cements himself up there with Kirby and those guys, just behind Kirby, right? So that's who I'd go with, Steve Sarkisian.
Yeah. Who you got, Fish?
Shane Beamer, because your job is, I think, the most you can possibly lose as a head coach in the SEC. Yeah, I'm going to go with him. And Arkansas's coach, I can't remember his name's slipping my mind right now. Sam Pittman, yeah.
Yeah, he'll be on the hot seat. I think I put Billy Napier there too, right?
I think I'm going to go with Pittman, actually. I'm going to scratch that because his replacement is going to be
on campus.
Somebody who's already been there and got laughed out of town, I don't know. That's going to be embarrassing. That would be very embarrassing. That aspect of it would make it worse than Beamer's situation. So I'm going to go with Sam Pittman.
Sidebar question for Fish. Whose seat is hotter? Shane Beamer, Sam Pittman, or Billy Napier?
I'm going to stick with Pittman. I think he almost got fired last year. Yeah, I think they're showing him a lot of loyalty by giving him another chance. just giving him one more chance. And so, like, if they do have to fire him, there's nothing that can be said. If they stuck with him as long as possible, definitely him.
Yeah. I'm going to chime in on that one. I'm going to say I think number one, I think Pittman's seat is the hottest out of all of them. But I will tell you that Bobby Petrino had to put in his contract that he would not ride a motorcycle and that he could not have any female assistants.
Is that legit? Or are you just being hilarious right now?
No, that's not legit. I don't know if that's true or not, man. But listen, guys,
it would not surprise me.
Here's the thing. This is the off the wall comment. I think the reason Sam Pittman's seat is the hottest is I think because Arkansas is ready to win. You look at Arkansas in baseball; they usually post a really good team in baseball. You look at them go make a stab and get Calipari from Kentucky in basketball. They have some of the top facilities, not only in the SEC but in the country, top 25 in the facilities in the country. The thing that lacks behind since the Houston Nutt era is football, right? Darren McFadden was the last great thing at Arkansas, right? And
Felix Jones, boy, that was a bad deal, right?
Yeah, so it's like,
see how long ago that was.
But I'm telling you, can I just tell you this? I'm going to make this call. I'm going to make this giant stab right here and tell you that this will be Pittman's last year. I don't think he has enough in the tank. I don't think that Petrino can work enough magic for him. But I will tell you, be ready because their replacement might really shock you who they're going to bring in there because they're going to bar no money. They're going to bar nothing because if they went after Calipari and, they said it, they were like, we are going to, like, Arkansas is going to be relevant. They are going to put the entire picture together. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see a name from all the way from the top as a Norvell or somebody like Norvell's coming to the SEC. It's just win. It's not if, it's just win. And then the second thing is if you want to go young, you watch out because they'll go right into the ranks. Glenn Schumann is the next guy up. He's next guy up.
I was just about to say that.
He's next guy up, man. So don't be surprised if they don't really stab at a guy. And they're not going to wait, man. Bobby Petrino's there because they know, they can try to keep him aboard somehow. If they let Sam go 4 or 5 games in, if it's not going well, they can get Petrino to ride the year out. Maybe try to offer some incentives to keep him there. Maybe put him in the front office somewhere. Get him off the field. Continue to keep his no motorcycle, no female assistant contract going, and they bring in a big dog in there. But I do agree with that question. My guy that has the most to lose this year, though, I'm gonna jump out here and I'm gonna say Mark Stoops. And I'll tell you why. Kentucky's also tired of Mark Stoops. I think they're tired of the Mark Stoops rant. I think they spent some money this year. I think they have a really good defense at Kentucky. I think they went out, paid some money to Brock Vandergriff. You're starting to see they can't keep quality coaches. Liam Cohen's a great offensive coordinator. The Bucks didn't have to offer him much more. He butted heads with Mark Stoops all the time. Mark Stoops is, in my opinion, is holding Kentucky back, in my opinion. I think he has the most to lose this year. I think his team has improved, but I think this year you will see a lot. They spent a lot of money in the portal. They spent a lot of money. They had new facilities upgrades. Kentucky has money, but I think it's a similar thing to Arkansas. They have the facilities. They have the money. They got the players. I mean, Kentucky's going to have an incredible defense this year. Incredible defensive line, great secondary. They added the quarterback piece. Can they put it all together? I don't know. The only thing it could hold it back is the fact that they're replacing defensive and offensive coordinator. So that's hard. That's hard. But I think Stoops has the most to lose. I like what y'all said. What's that?
That's a take I didn't think of with Stoops, right? But like you said, they did invest a lot of money, right? Because he was whining, about, hey, we don't have the money that other programs have. We're not willing to put that money, right? And so they did. Like he did what he should have done, right? His whining got them to put more money in it. But now, if you're looking at it from an investment standpoint, right? If you pour all that money into it, what's the return on that investment? And if it's not enough return, he could very well see himself unemployed.
Yeah, he's been there forever. What's up, Rich Man? How are you, man? Rich Man says Stoops is a loggerhead. I don't know what he meant by that, but I don't like. I mean, I've never liked Stoops. I thought he's a real like. I can see that. Like he's a real. He's just the guy that always looks like he knows it all. And then when it all goes downhill, man, he always blames his team. But man, the direct responsibility you have as a head coach is to make sure your team is prepared. So I don't know how you can go out there and blame the people that you're supposed to have prepared. But we could sit on that all night. But I do think those are great answers. I do agree with you. Pittman is probably a big possibility, has the most to lose. I also like the idea of Sarkisian because there is a lot. They have that Texas money out there, man. And if the Texas money doesn't connect with the coaching, doesn't connect with the record this year, with one of the easiest schedules in the SEC, you're right. It could be a long journey for Texas because we know this recruiting comes not only off of just money and great sales pitches, but it comes off of winning programs. I do think still people, kids still want to go to a program that has the opportunity to win. So I love the takes on that stuff. He's easy to butt heads with anybody. Rich Man. I agree, man. Next question. Who has the edge? And so the body of work, we look at the body of work of the past, maybe year, 2 years. Who has the most longevity in the next 5 years? Like, do you think I got three sets of teams that we look at and go in 5 years, who's ahead of each other as far as program, as far as wins, as far as recruiting? Who's kind of sitting in there? And there might be some surprises in there. So there might be some non-surprises, but I'll start it out. So I got Oklahoma or Missouri in here, and obviously we look at Missouri. Eli Drinkowitz. Missouri is starting to invest money. They have some of their talent that they've been able to keep in house. They're going to try to put it all together this year. They've got they finally got an indoor practice facility. That's cool because they're the only SEC football team that did not have one. So they finally have that to add. They're getting ready to get rid of the gigantic rock in the end zone and finally put some seats there. So that's interesting. They're spending the money. Yeah, they're spending the money. So you look at the season they had, but when you look at the body of Oklahoma and Missouri, what do you guys think about this? Who do you guys see has the edge in being more relevant in the next 5 years? Is it Oklahoma or Missouri? Fish, I'll let you go first.
I think historically, Oklahoma, just they're blue blood, they've been around, they've won some natties, they have a long historical, reputation as being a winner. Missouri is kind of like new blood, like Drinkwitz has them heading in the right direction, and I don't see any sign of it, stopping anytime soon. In fact, I got them in the playoff this year, edging out Alabama for the fourth spot, the fourth SEC team anyway. Yeah, and I think Brett Venables is trending down. I think he has Oklahoma going in the wrong direction, honestly. So definitely Missouri, in my opinion, over the next 5 years.
Yeah. Bobby, what do you think? You agree with Fish? I
wish you'd asked me this question at the beginning of next season.
Right.
Because I think this season's really going to tell a lot, right? After Brady Cook is gone, does Venables finally have the pieces on defense to get back to the defense he's known for? Those are just my two biggest questions. I'm almost like, as much as I feel like Missouri has proven themselves over the past 2 years, and I expected them to be good this past season, I'm almost still holding my breath, waiting for it to fall apart. Mm-hmm. And they've not given me any reason why I should think that way, but I do, And so if I'm looking out 5 years from now, which program is more successful, I'm gonna ride with tradition and history and go with Oklahoma, because if if Venables doesn't get it done, they're going to bring in somebody that absolutely will.
Yeah, more tradition in Oklahoma. I mean, they made some. I mean, they're a team that made some good stabs in the spring portal. They ended up getting the big kid from TCU, who's going to add some great. I don't think he's going to add depth. I think he's going to be a starter on that interior. I mean, Oklahoma's defense is something that under Venables has to get better. We've seen the electricity in.
It's got to.
Yeah, we've seen the electricity in the offense and the quarterback at Oklahoma. I think his last name is Palmer. He's incredible talent. But I think the defense for Venables is what's been his. I mean, he's a defensive coordinator. He's defensive minded. That's got to get better. It kind of reminds me of Pittman at Arkansas. Like when the line can't block anybody. Like, bro, you're an offensive line coach. When Venables can't get post a defense that can't keep an offense that can score 40 points a game in the game, that's displeasement to you. As far as Venables. Bobby, I'll stay with you. What about Texas or Ole Miss? Like, where do you see those schools in 5 years? Like, who's got the edge first in this one?
Well, when you thought about that, and when you said, like, I was thinking top 3 teams, and I had Ole Miss and Texas and Georgia is my 3 programs in 5 years that are going to probably be the most successful. Mm-hmm. So, man. What happens with Lane Kiffin, right? What happens? All the money that they spent in the portal, the pieces they picked up, does it come out in the wash in the way they want it to? Man, that's a tough one, bro. Like, that's
hard. I'm glad he asked you first.
Do what, Fish?
I said I'm glad he asked you first.
Yeah, man.
Because that's hard,
dude. Just because, and I'm going to say this, just because of the experience within the SEC already, I'm going to give it the nod to Ole Miss. That's it.
I like that. What do you think, Fish?
Yikes. I like Kiffin greater than Sarkisian, my personal opinion. But is the way Lane recruits and hits the portal, is that sustainable? Because this is all new. This money has to recycle. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? This money has to come back, and it has to continuously circle through. Because if it doesn't, he's not going to be able to coach that way. So, I don't know. If he can sustain that level, win the portal game every year, win the portal race every year, keep it up. I think Oxford is a great place to play. A lot of tradition. So I'm gonna go with Ole Miss as well.
Yeah. I would say I give a slight edge. I like. So you said, Bobby, you said Ole Miss as well.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give a slight edge to Texas, but I agree with what you all are saying. The only reason I'm saying Texas is because if nothing's done with this portal system in the next 5 years, Texas can buy anybody out they want. They have money. They have Texas money. And I'm not worried about Sarkisian recruiting because Sarkisian doesn't have to recruit. I mean, anybody can say, hey, I got $1 million. It's the highest bidder. And so I agree with what you guys are saying. But the relevancy and the reason why Texas gets a little bit of an edge to me is they're going to have more money than Ole Miss. But, I mean, Rich Man says, like he called him Kiffy. Kiffy can make the playoffs. His donors will be tickled pink. I agree with you, but I'm starting to buy into both of you guys talking about how deep these Texas pockets are, man.
Oh, for sure.
And I'm seeing it
for this type of football, right? Where you pay for play, right? Like they probably have the deepest pockets of any program.
Yeah, probably right.
So they are primed. I mean, they should do well in this type of thing. But when restrictions start getting put on it, right, and they're coming. They just don't know how to do it yet.
It's coming.
Yeah. I had a third team on here. You guys might be bummed that I'm not going to put them out there, but I think we're going to know our biased opinion on that one. So I'm going to press on from that. But here's an interesting question, mailbag question-wise. Who do you think – so we've been talking about expansion, right? Already talking about expansion, playoff expansion, conference expansion. Once again, has to do with money. Who do we think the next 2 teams are? We got a lot of teams that want to be in the SEC, but who do we think the next 2 teams are that are going to be a part of the SEC? Really quick, and why? I'll go to you first, Fish.
geography, Clemson, Florida State, maybe Miami somehow, maybe Florida State, Miami. I guess geography is not really an issue anymore because USC, UCLA, Oregon, they're all Big 10 teams now, or Big 18, or Big whatever they are. I don't know. The conference, it's going to be, I guess, whoever wants out the most, whoever's willing to pay whatever, because they're working on a settlement right now, for teams to be able to get out of that contract if they want to expand. If the SEC or the Big 10 wants any of these teams, I'm sure that there's people talking behind the scenes right now. Hey, got any interest in my school? We got the money. We're going to pay this exit fee. What do you say? I'm sure there's a lot of that going on right now. There has to be, because it's, like I said, it's ever changing, it's ever evolving, and it's going to be 2 super conferences at the end of the day eventually. Big 12 is next after the ACC.
Yeah.
I mean, because what's it going to be? The Big 24, the SEC, and the Big, So,
well, Greg Sankey is the most stubborn out of any, and he should be. I think he runs a really good program. I mean, the SEC is in good hands with Sankey. I like Sankey a lot.
Oh, I agree.
I think he runs a tight ship, and I think he's keeping those doors pretty tight. Before I give mine, Bobby, who do you think? You got 2 stabs at? Who you think the next teams are?
Those 2 would be my first choices as well. Clemson, FSU. On down the road, you might throw Miami in there. You might throw UCF in there.
Right. Back in the SEC.
Yeah.
UCF, for the size they are, is a pretty successful program. National champions, right?
Yeah. Woo! Self-proclaimed, baby. Let's go make some T-shirts.
So, but I would put Clemson and Florida State at the top of that list, but Miami and UCF are definitely not out of the talks.
Right. Yeah. I'm gonna go a little wild with this one. Which, by the way, I think Gus Malzahn is your next coach at Florida. Sidebar. Because if UCF beats Florida this year, I think it's possible. Anyways, there's my stab for the year. I have a lot of stabs for the year. I think I have 2. So I think Clemson's scared of the SEC. I thought about that one, Rich Man. I thought about North Carolina. I'm looking at the and I probably cheated you guys. I should have prompted you better. I'm looking at the body of work as far as the entire athletic department is concerned. So you look at baseball, basketball, women's sports, things of that nature. So I'm trying to look kind of at it all. I personally really like. So I think we could see. This is tough, man, but I think a long shot would be Ohio State. And I'll tell you why. It's because I think that Ohio State, if you've noticed, I don't know if you guys have listened to their AD a lot, but he's pretty mouthy. He's very mouthy. He sounds ignorant a lot of times because the way he talks about the Michigan battle, but I don't think they want to play Michigan anymore. I don't think they want to play them every single year.
Rich Man said no.
I
mean, that's my long shot as Ohio State. That AD wants
super long shot. I think that would. I don't know.
I'm telling you,
they're
the only team that has the money to do it, in my opinion, and do it the right way. Because I mean, you got to look and you go, what's the next step in power conferences? And I hate to say this, like Ohio State is going to. I'm not sold on it. I'm just saying it seems like it would be all around sports wise. It would bring them to a different. You don't hear a lot about Ohio State in baseball. They're okay. I mean, we beat them in basketball this year, right? Was that in the NIT this year we beat them?
Yeah.
So, you look at other sports at Ohio State, they're not very competitive in other sports. And if I have any Ohio State guys, please let me know because I don't follow your equestrian team or anything like that. But I will say in football is the only reason you say that. I like the North Carolina stab over there, but I do agree with you guys. I do think Florida State, it makes sense with them. I think Clemson is, as long as Dabo's there, man, he's kind of going to be scared of that. I don't think you can have the mentality that Dabo has and compete in the SEC every single year in, year out. I think he knows that might seal the deal for him at Clemson. He can that country club life over there, and I like Dabo. Right, I say country club life. That's a bad take. I like Dabo a lot. Very stand up Christian guy. But I just think his mentality about winning football games, it ain't gonna help them to join the SEC. So Ohio State's my long shot, and I think I'm with you guys on Florida State.
You're picking my lottery numbers, bro.
I mean, it could, but we might also see Division 1, 2, and 3 in college football soon as well. I mean, there's also a lot to do with the portal coming soon in the next 5 years, because there's going to be teams that are going to argue that, like, I can't compete with that money. Like, what do you want me to do? Like the Utahs of the world, we're going to see where they stand this year, right? They still have a lot of talent left from last year. They don't have that money, man. So it's like talent, where they're at as far as the United States is concerned, geographically, can they recruit there, things of that nature. And by the way, they don't have the money to recruit with them. And Whittingham is posting great teams with way less. He's got facilities. They have great facilities at Utah. But that's all they got, man. They don't have that NIL money. They don't have that, they don't have those 1-2 punches. I mean, Whittingham is also calling the plays, I think. So, like, he's posting 2 jobs to keep that going. But let's end the night right here. We're gonna do some meet the quarterbacks. Let's do this really quick. And Colin, I thought it would be really cool to look at some statistics from what's going on. Obviously, we open up at Clemson, and we will be meeting my man, he's not in the SEC, but I thought we should do it. Mr. Cole Klubnik. Cole, interesting story here. Obviously, a very athletic kid. Dabo liked him a lot. He told us from jump. Dabo said, the quarterback position is a leadership position. I feel like there's more upside to Cole as a leader, and we can work on the other parts. He has raw athletic ability. 2,844 yards of passing yards last year, 9 interceptions. I think, Bobby, you mentioned this. You might speak into it a little bit, that he holds the ball a little bit too long. 64% completion percentage, but 19 TDs, which is not too far off of Quinn Ewers, which obviously we'll talk about as well. But you guys want to add anything about that? I think he's a very interesting quarterback. He reminds me a little bit of a Jalen Milroe type kind of. They gave us a little bit of fits in the SEC championship last year. But I like this kid. You guys want to talk a little bit about meeting him today?
Yeah, I think just from what I saw last year, right? Like, almost seemed like the game was a little fast for him, and that led him to freak out, which led him to holding on to the ball a little too long in the games that I watched. I only watched 2 or 3. But in those games, there were times where he did not get the ball out quick enough. But I think going into an additional year of experience, the game probably slows down for him a little bit. If those trends don't continue to happen, he could be a decent quarterback. But if he didn't do enough, if there's not a big enough jump from last year to this year, then he won't be relevant. Like, he'll get destroyed by a good defense.
I like that. I like that take. I think it's an interesting week 1 matchup. Fish, week 3. Week 3 is interesting. We're going to talk about what we get week 2. We're getting somebody from Tennessee Tech. I don't know who that is. But interesting matchup week 3. Speaking to this a little bit, we get to meet Mr. Brock Vandergriff. We know Brock Vandergriff really well. Statistics are something we don't need to throw out because he didn't see a lot of statistics last year. But what do you think we're going to see with Brock Vandergriff when we meet him? It's a night game. I don't know if you guys seen those first few games posted, but that game is going to be very interesting because it's a night game at Sanford Stadium, in Sanford Stadium, 7:30. Man, it will be loud. It will be wild, and Brock Vandergriff will be visiting his old stadium and probably one of the loudest night crowds. Night games in Athens are special, man. What do you think about Brock and what we're going to see when we get him on week 3, Fish?
I'm excited to finally see the man play. Like, I am, and I want good things to happen for him, except for that night.
Right.
I want him to get sacked 7 or 8 times. I think they're going to be coming after him. Not because he left, no saltiness, no residual feelings of, hey, you left us, you're not, whatever. No hard feelings. I just think they're just going to go after him. And I think they're going to make it especially hard on him. And Kirby knows what he can and can't do. And, and I test, speaking to the noise and the atmosphere, I think he'll be ready for that. I think he'll be used to that because he's seen it before, So, I mean, it's going to be crazy. Pops is going to be out there, quarterback, QB, and the defense too, from the middle linebacker spot. And
it's going to be interesting.
They're going to have them boys ready to play. It's going to be a game. But I think we're going to go after Brock hard, and I think we're going to make him have a long, long night.
Yeah. Next week we got to go into Tuscaloosa, and we meet a very familiar quarterback in a new system. But Bobby, what do you think we're going to see when we meet Mr. Jalen Milroe this year from Alabama?
I think you're going to see, because it's not so late in the season. When we meet him, he should be fine. I think towards the end of the season, you're going to see a worn out Jalen Milroe because I don't think he's going to have the targets that he's had. So he's going to have to make a lot happen with his legs. And so I think that's going to create a lot of wear and tear. And so I think probably last 3 games of the season, you'll see a guy that's just probably spent. I could be wrong. The offensive line could hold up, give him plenty of time. He's creating chemistry with these receivers, but I really think the fact that Saban left so late is going to really hurt them. And I don't know that they have the wide receivers that they're used to having. So I don't know how that's going to affect Milroe. I think he'll have to run more, which he's dynamic. He is an excellent runner. Like, he will cause you problems, and he's got a good arm, right? But is he going to have anybody to throw to? That's kind of my biggest question and unknown that I'm not certain of.
Yeah. Rich Man says Milroe will be a tailback before midseason. He could be, man. Yeah. Following week, we go back home to Athens, and we get Auburn at home. And we look at year 2 of Peyton Thorne. He's in an offense now that he's familiar with. He's not looking over his shoulder. That we know. I don't know what to take of Hugh Freeze. I'm not going to go all in on Hugh Freeze like I had last year. But, Adam, what do you think about Peyton Thorne? What are we looking at when we meet Peyton Thorne this year?
I don't know. He didn't really get a fair shot at Auburn. I think that I can't believe, that Hugh Freeze was doing what he was doing last year with that dual quarterback, and I think that's just dumb. I think it's so predictable. What's about to happen. Peyton's in there, Peyton Thorne's in there. They get the ball all the way down to the 5 or 6 yard line, and then, they bring in the other guy who obviously is about to run for it because that's all he does. I mean, he threw the ball. How many pass attempts did he have last year?
He threw the ball 265 times last year, but half the productivity he had from the year before at Michigan State, but the same amount of interceptions. So that's what sticks out to me is every single year Peyton Thorne has taken the field for either team, he's had double-digit interceptions. So, that's something to look at. I know that I know Auburn just went out and got him another receiver from Penn State. So they definitely thickened up that receiving core a little bit, but I'm with you, Fish, man. What really draws me is the 10 interceptions. He's had 10, 11, and 10 interceptions in the past 3 years, and he had 10 interceptions last year in 60% of the work. So,
defense is faster.
Yeah, I agree. It's an SEC defense, but at the end of the day, I think he suffers a little bit from last year. We'll be able to see if he's comfortable with the Hugh Freeze offense, but I couldn't agree with you more, Fish. I think it's a coin flip on if we come out seeing a confident Peyton Thorne, or are they digging into this young kid? I think his name's Hunter. I forget his last name, but are we digging into this young kid on week 5, week 6? But Hugh Freeze is going to stick with his guns, man. He stuck with that 2-quarterback system the entire year last year, and it got him nowhere. So I got a feeling he's going with Peyton this year. He's the ride or die, and I hope it doesn't die because of that. So next week we head into we head into another home game, Mississippi State. Mississippi State got Jeff Lebby, new coach, and a new quarterback that came over from Baylor, Blake Shapen. Blake Shapen had some interesting numbers last year at Baylor. And Bobby, I'm probably throwing you a curveball because you're like, I don't know much about Blake Shapen possibly, but 2,188 yards in a Dave Aranda run heavy offense. It was more West Coast style offense. 3 interceptions. He protects the ball well. 61%. 13 TDs. You're going to see him throwing the ball a lot more. What do you think? What do you think we're going to see when we meet Blake Shapen? What you got, Bobby?
Yeah, I think you're going to see again coming in and SEC, right? It's just different, and I don't know how any of what he did last year will translate. It's not the same guys lined up across from him. I don't know how much you can come in year one and really make an offense super dynamic. I really think Mississippi State overall as a program is behind the 8 ball. So I don't have any high expectations from them from any position, to be honest.
I'm interested when we do our season preview later in July. I'm interested to look at these teams really in depth, and we're really going to look at what they have coming and what they have to offer. Mississippi State is a team for me that it could pose a threat, man. Like Levy's offense is legit. I mean, he stepped into Oklahoma and he had some interesting takes on how he took over that offense and how he transcended that offense. And so it is up in the air, but my whole thing behind Levy and Shapen is I think that the number that stands out to me is 3 interceptions, and you're going to see that ball in the air a lot this year for Mississippi State. So I'm thinking the look behind this is can we make sure if we're going to throw the ball 50 times a game, can we make sure that we don't make bad decisions? And so I saw both quarterbacks at their spring game, and I thought Shapen looked the most seasoned out there. So Bobby looks like he's having a little bit of technical difficulties. So when we look at the next quarterback, let's talk about this one, Fish, real quick. So we go to Texas, and we get to meet Mr. Quinn Ewers. Man, a lot of statistics for Quinn Ewers, obviously. 3,500 yards of passing last year, on top of only 6 interceptions, 78% completion percentage with 22 TDs. So good looking stats from last year. That says a lot about him. But what do you think we're going to see with Quinn Ewers this year?
More of the same. I think he got a good transfer target with Isaiah Bond, because Worthy went, pro last year. So they refilled as far as that goes. That'll probably be his main primary target this year. He's playing for his life, though, right? Like every week he's going to be playing for his job. Like how short a string do you think? How short a leash do you think Sarkisian gives him with Arch Manning waiting in the wings, Because I'm probably getting a lot of pressure to play him, from the Manning clan, I'd imagine. Right. I don't think they're wanted him to go and sit for 2 or 3 years, which is why I don't think he went to some other schools. I think he went where he thought he had the best shot to play early, and turns out Quinn Ewers is pretty good.
Yeah, I love your take on that. A lot of pressure on Quinn Ewers this year. Guys he's most likely a cover athlete for NCAA 25. He came back even though Arch was the guy who was going to take over this offense, and he says, I think Quinn Ewers is a quarterback heavy draft this year. I know what he's thinking. He's thinking next year. It's not very quarterback heavy draft next year, so I have an opportunity to make myself look better and possibly a little bit bigger of a signing bonus and a little bit better take on it. But I think there's a lot of pressure on Quinn Ewers this year coming into the SEC. He's got a lot more money being thrown at him. He's left and right. He's definitely on one of the covers. There's multiple cover athletes this year. There's a lot of things going on outside of football right now with him, and he's got a lot on his plate. He might be looking over his shoulder a little bit because you saw how great of a spring Arch had. And I think we're going to see a quarterback who has some pressure on him. And that should concern Texas because I don't want to go too far out there, but I do know that Quinn Ewers is a quarterback that when I've seen him a little bit under pressure, Sarkisian has to really dial it up the right way to get him in situations where he can be productive. So you better hope Sarkisian has something ready for that because, I mean, Ewers can be a little bit of between his ears sometimes. I feel like he can be a little bit, I don't know, lackadaisical. Some of his choices, he's trying to fit the ball into very tight situations. It doesn't show up in the interceptions, but also you were playing against, Big 12 defenses last year. That wasn't the SEC. So I agree with that take. And then we go into the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. I don't really care that we don't call it that anymore. That's what it is. Graham Mertz. I'll let you take it on too, but I think Graham Mertz. We're going to see a person that's been in Napier's offense a little bit longer. I'm worried about Graham Mertz too because obviously they had a very impressive freshman come in and DJ Lagway and had him come in and cause a little havoc as far as but Graham Mertz is the guy at Florida. I think he will be for this year. I think Lagway might. It depends on how the season goes. We've all talked about if Florida, depends on how those first 4 or 5 games go for Florida. We could see the entrance of DJ Lagway very early so that he can get some games up under his belt. But I think you're going to see a quarterback. I've always said that Mertz is kind of a game manager. I don't know if that bodes well in the SEC. We saw how it did last year. He had some really great receivers last year. I don't know what they're working with, but I see another game manager that I feel like it's kind of like Brock's going to be this year. I think we come after him really hard, and he's going to have to figure out if he's grown or not. So, welcome back, Bobby. No technical difficulties, so we're back. What about? I'll let you guys have the last two. We got Jackson Dart, right? I'm gonna let Bobby have this one. So, what do you think we're gonna see when we meet Jackson Dart this year?
You're gonna see an air raid. I mean, dude is gonna sling it all over the place. He might be a little smarter this year about how he chooses to run the football. He pretty much took himself out of that game against Georgia last year because he was running the football, not wanting to get down, that kind of thing. I think he's going to have a good year, and so I think you're going to see a high-powered offense with Jackson Dart at the helm. I think he'll have some good targets to throw to. I think this is probably going to be a very, very good season for him.
Yeah, I think it's going to stem on the offensive coordinator. I think his last name is Nix. This guy is not Levy, and I'm interested to see how this new quarterback's going to land with. I mean, this new offensive coordinator is going to land with Ole Miss's offense. I think highly of Jeff Levy. I think he's a tremendous play caller. He's a tremendous schemer, and to me, I'm going to have to see Ole Miss a couple games to see if they're in the same category offensively. They are in the same category offensively, talent-wise, but I got to see if it's all about the dial-up, man. It's all about the dial-up. Everybody talked about what was going to become of Georgia when Bobo took over after Monken, and as you see it, it was like until we saw it, we all had either doubts or we were all praying it was going to pan out, and so I would say it's gonna look a lot at like, are you gonna put Jackson Dart in those situations where Levy did, and those helmet communication devices are going to be key this year, as Kiffin called them a cheat code. So going to be very interested to see that stuff. And then Fish Nico, I'll give you the hardest name we have, Nico Iamaleava, Tennessee, man. Everybody's talking about Nico, man. He's going to be coming to Athens. I can guarantee you this is going to be this might be a night game. I know Georgia doesn't have many heavy hitter SEC games on their docket at home this year. You could very well see this game at night. Who are we going to see when we see Nico and when we meet him?
I have no idea. I mean, I know he looked good in spring, and all the TikTok videos I've ever seen of him. I mean, he can sling it, but there's no pressure. There's nobody coming at you. You're not going to get hit in the spring game. And he's just standing around in a t-shirt. On some of those videos I've seen, and yeah, he can throw it. It's great. But like once you start playing that game, that SEC game speed, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think he's built to sustain in the SEC. I think he's too fragile. Skinny is a bad choice of words, but I think he'll be too fragile. I think he's going to get hurt.
Yeah, interested to see how Hypo will use Nico. I've heard good things about his accuracy. I've heard good things about his arm strength, but we all know Joe Milton had one of the most incredible, in my opinion, he had one of the most talented arms to come through the SEC in a long, long time. But man, it was like the wild thing from Major League, Rick Vaughn, man. It's like, where's it going to end up though? Like, it's coming 95 miles an hour, but it's going to the, it's going to hit the mascot before it hits a wide receiver. So I think when you look at that, you look at the positive from Nico that I'm hearing out of the camp over at Tennessee is the accuracy is there. He had a lot of reps in the bowl game this past year, looked pretty good in the bowl game. The biggest thing I think you need to see with Tennessee this year is, in order to see a quarterback like Nico can become, is had a terrible secondary last year, which kept the defense on the field a lot. And so it put Tennessee in positions where the quarterback position had to rally them and score points and keep up with the other offenses. You can put them in a situation where they can be more balanced. Tennessee can run the ball a little bit. They can make him, put him in situations where they're not always going, well, they're coming out and they got to throw the ball because, high scoring games. I think if Nico, they can balance it a little bit, I think the defense is going to be improved. I don't know about the secondary, but I think the linebacker and the defensive line is going to be one of the best defensive lines in the SEC at Tennessee. If the secondary is even a little bit better, then that's going to help the quarterback position at Tennessee, because I think that was running against Heupel last year, man. It was a wide open play scheme every time he had to throw the ball, and most of the time it was trying to win football games and trying to dig out of situations that the defense of Tennessee had put him in. So I think that speaks a lot about it. But yeah, man, interesting slate of quarterbacks. Probably one of the toughest schedules, if not the toughest schedule in the SEC. I know you can say Florida has a tough schedule, but I hate to say this, man. You usually don't hear, some of the top ranked teams in any division having the schedule that Georgia's looking at. I've even seen some podcasters, writers, ESPN writers that has Ohio State as the number one team in the nation based off of strength of schedule, because just they think Ohio State's playing a much easier schedule this year than Georgia. So I think it'll kind of pan out like that. But yeah, man, as we wrap up tonight, Bobby, final thoughts?
It's in the game.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
It's in the game. Final 4 words. Fish, what about you, man? Final thoughts tonight?
Yeah, I'm just I had fun tonight. I like what we talked about. I'm just super pumped about the game, and I know that's not the main topic, but I just can't wait. I can't wait. It's gonna be fun. I am super excited.
Man. It's exciting. It adds a layer of excitement as we count the 77 days down. It's going to give us a little bit of mid-game countdown fuel to get towards there when we can actually throw the ball around with Carson, maybe run the ball a little bit with ETN, and maybe make a few picks with Malachi. So everybody make sure
the 12-team playoff too before it actually happens.
That's true. That's very true. They're going to do like a whole. Will it be? If EA Sports was picking theirs, I don't know.
Right.
It's gonna be wild. It's gonna be a wild year, man. And it starts out with NCAA 25. So
yes, it does.
Looking forward to the next. I mean, we are getting there. We're getting down. We're getting down to the wire. Super excited about the next few weeks. Starting to look at our preseason preview. We're going to break down, take a little time with every SEC team as we rally into the beginning of the year, but also be able to talk about more about those first few opponents. We'll get into any news coming off. I mean, we're even closer to fall practices gearing up and camp. So that's really cool. So can't wait, man. We are slowly but surely, we have tracked our way through the off season, and I think we've had a lot of good things to talk about. So guys, as always, just cool to hang out, talk college football. We met some SEC quarterbacks tonight. We talked about what we think the hype on NCAA football is going to be about, and we talked a little bit about some teams that are who we think is going to be around when it comes 5 years from now, and some of the coaches that might have more to lose this year than to gain. And so on behalf of myself, Adam Fisher, Bobby Ryals, make sure you go follow Facebook. Next week we're adding Instagram, so make sure you catch us on Instagram, YouTube. Make sure, if you will do us a favor, go to YouTube, go to Dogs Down South, hit that follow and like button, help us get to 1,000 followers. But guys, always fun. But we will see you next week, and go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.